Thank you, Madam President. Senators, as Vice Chair of the Asian Pacific Islander Legislative Caucus, I'm proud to stand in support of ACA 5 so we can put this issue before the voters. This issue of fairness and this issue of equal opportunity for all Californians. Now, I want to first of all say that the majority of Asian Pacific Islanders and numerous polls support ACA 5. And again, the API Legislative Caucus also supports ACA 5. And why do we support ACA 5? Because we understand that by the time you get to the college application process, structural racism ensured that people are not at the same starting point, no matter what your talent is. Equally talented people are not at the same place because of structural racism. We need the tools to give people the opportunity to be able to succeed in a way that corrects for this fundamental inequality. Now, I do want to recognize and appreciate the history of discrimination against the API, and particularly the Chinese American community, is outlined by my good colleague from Diamond Bar. But I have to admit, I draw a different conclusion from that history. The COVID-19 outbreak has certainly reminded the API community, although I think many of us haven't forgotten, that no matter how successful, accomplished, however it seems that we are part of the greater society, that we are not, that we are different, that people look at us and they do judge us by the color of our skin or other characteristics, the slant of our eyes, other physical characteristics. And unfortunately, there are some who will not only express hate and even sometimes violence, but also people will judge us for different things as well. But this is not something that just showed up with COVID. And as mentioned, there was a long history of this as previously described. But I also point out that for the API community, and I do want to recognize that there are portions of the API community who do have challenges in the college admissions process. So it's a mythology that all API are doing fine for going to college. We can talk about particularly the Pacific Islander community, maybe the Southeast Asians, Hmong, and so forth have more challenges in that college process. But there are some that are doing better in that. But yet, when we finish college and we go out in the workplace, we don't seem to do as well. In fact, this very Senate, we have a select committee on API affairs. We actually held a hearing on the glass ceiling for API. Because what we'll see is that while certain subgroups of the API community may be represented or well represented in certain professions and in higher education, again, only some subsegments, when you look at upper management in companies or professions, right? Even my own profession of medicine, I'm a physician. You look around and you start looking at the department chairs and the deans, and you don't find a whole lot of API up there. In fact, there are no API medical school deans in the United States. Think about that. All right? We have over 150 some medical schools in the US. And so we're supposed to be well represented. But we saw that this is also the case in law, in technology. A lot of API engineers on the bottom rungs, somehow they don't seem to get promoted. And I don't think that's because we're not talented enough, right? I don't think it's because we're not talented enough to do so. So maybe something else is at play. And I think that's something that certainly the Black and the Latino community have noticed as well, not only for themselves, but for other people of color. And so when it comes to ACA 5, it's great to talk about a quote unquote colorblind process or society, but we know it's not colorblind, it's blindness toward structural racism. And that does not benefit our state and certainly doesn't benefit the people of California. So I hope that we will all join together here on the Senate floor to give the voters an opportunity to weigh in on this very issue. So we can have this debate in the state, we can have this discussion. We need to recognize that we need the tools to be able to address this ongoing problem of structural racism that means that people do not actually have equal opportunity. And if for the API community, the portions that oppose this bill, and I know, there are some who have come out and say they're opposed, I would say to them is that look at our history, look at even your own experiences. And we can't have a conversation about how race has affected even your own lives and your own opportunities, then how are we going to create those opportunities for all Californians, including yourselves? And with that, I urge an aye vote on ACA 5.